Better sit back and buckle your seatbelt, cinephiles, because on Straight Razor in the Theater, we're going to be talking about the Pet Sematary remake.
Oh, you don't want to talk about that remake.
Alright, well, regardless, we got to talk about it. We said we were going to do this, so let's fucking do it, alright?
Oh, you don't want to do that.
Okay, clearly, when we had the meeting for this...
Oh, you don't want to go to that then.
Look, Jesus Christ, I said we were going to fucking talk about the movie, so let's fucking talk about the goddamn movie.
Okay. Let's just calm down and do the video.
Alright, let's try that again, alright. Get ready, cinephiles. We're going to be talking about the Pet Sematary. Jesus fucking Christ! No, hey man, hey.
Look, I'm sorry.
Dude, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey, hey, and I'm sorry I shot you, dude. It was unnecessary. It wasn't called for it. I'm sorry. You ready to? We're gonna talk about this movie now.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck yeah.
But I don't know if you want to talk about that movie.
Oh, you son of a! Hello, internet friends, family, my fellow cinephiles, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Razor in the Theater. So, like we said before, we went to go see the Pet Sematary remake tonight, and all in all, definitely wasn't like nearly as much disappointed as I was kind of expecting to be. Not to say that I didn't think it was going to be a good movie, but you know, normally when it comes to horror remakes, they don't normally match up to the original.
Yeah, the only rare exception that I can think of is It.
Oh yeah, but It was a whole nother breed. I could kind of see that coming a mile away, even from the trailers, I thought. This one could still, every time I saw the trailers, I still wasn't like totally amped to see it. It was just one of those things that, yeah, I'll see it because it's Pet Sematary.
See, for me, I was hyped as hell to see it for two reasons. Okay. Number one, I actually really like the original because it's kind of gritty, kind of dark, kind of eerie. But
well, I mean, even the subject matter.
The subject matter, it's uncomfortable, and that's the point. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to be a happy-go-lucky or run-of-the-mill horror movie. And there's a reason why Stephen King, when he wrote it, admitted that this is the subject matter and story that actually scared him while writing it.
Oh, yeah, no, I do. I remember you were telling me something about that a couple days ago.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, unfortunately, other than the fact that he has said that in interviews, but that's just such a cool thing, and it draws me into it even more.
Right. A small family moves to another town in an attempt to get closer with each other and spend more time with each other. They meet a kindly neighbor who then introduces them to an area in their backyard known as the Pet Cemetery, where all of the children from the town go to bury their dead pets. When tragedy strikes, however, he introduces them to another spot beyond the cemetery where they learn the fateful truth that
sometimes that is better.
And also just a quick little label here for spoiler alert, just in case you want to go see Pet Sematary unspoiled.
Sometimes spoilers are better.
You really are a fucking idiot.
Oh, you don't want to go down that idiot road.
So, going into this film, like I said, it's not that I was like looking to be disappointed, but it was one of those instances where I didn't want to get my hopes up, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, for me, after seeing the first trailer, the whole entire thing of don't get your hopes up, I was like, that's out the bloody window, I'm sorry, hopes are up. Like, when you told me, oh, they're remaking Pet Sematary, I was just like, why? And then I thought about it for a moment. I'm like, wait a minute, Stephen King's It was really good in a remake. Right. Maybe this is just the new trend and they're just going to remake a bunch of Stephen King movies. And if they could do that and do it well twice, who's to say that they couldn't keep doing it and give us something like, I don't know, this is shooting high in the sky here, but I don't know, a good version of Tommyknockers?
No, that would be really interesting if it could be pulled off. My only thing is that, yes, the It remake was good, and even though I haven't seen The Dark Tower, I have heard some rather nasty things about it.
Oh, yeah, Dark Tower, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen King doesn't want the other books to be touched.
Let's just say people didn't like The Dark Tower. But on the other hand, I know people really, really, really liked it. So that being said, I wasn't really taking that into consideration when I was thinking about how impressed I was going to be with this film. Obviously, I was going into it with an open mind. And all in all, I wasn't all that disappointed. There were a couple small little things, but I think those things could be considered pretty nitpicky. Whenever I think any of my critiques are getting to the point of nitpicky, I kind of count that as a win in my eyes.
Yes, definitely, because this guy will sit and watch literally just about anything.
I can only think of like 2 or 3 films off the top of my head I will not watch.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're one of the few people that I've ever talked to that was a fan of the movie The Stuff.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, I like the stuff.
Yeah, I don't
really like the stuff. You like the stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm all about the stuff.
Well, first off, let's talk about the one actor in the film that I actually knew, John Lithgow, the guy that played Jed. I really liked him. I will have to say though, I did prefer Fred Gwynne from the original as the original Jed.
With the original, it reminded me of Matlock in a way, and I know that it was actually Herman Munster, but for some reason his actor always reminds me of Matlock, and like watching those old gritty shows with the seriousness, but the suave of a smooth talker.
Even though his delivery is straight up comedic the entire time. I feel like that he can't say a serious line and it come out as serious. Well,
you don't want to go down that road.
Right. But Dead is better. That was a good line.
Dead is better. Still gives me chills on the original. But in the remake, honestly, I half expected him to look at me and just be like, "How you doing?"
Yeah, he was pretty fucking crazy, or crazy looking anyway.
No, you're not wrong on the whole crazy aspect, but we'll get on that later.
Right. His delivery and he played a more serious kind of interpretation of the character, I think, with the exception of his interactions with the kids. But I feel like whenever he interacted with the parents, like the mom, well, I guess he was a little lighthearted with the mom, but with the dad, it was always a very serious demeanor.
Yeah. Original, it's more so.
He didn't come off as eccentric or anything like that, because that's how I think of the original Jed. Is he's more of the eccentric neighbor.
Yeah, he's the eccentric neighbor where you're not quite sure what to think of. He invites you over. He'll probably try and show you his creepy, I don't know, wooden knick-knack collection of voodoo idols.
Right. Luckily, that wasn't a thing that actually happened in this film. It probably would have been a little bit more entertaining if it was.
These are all my cursed voodoo objects.
Either way,
why don't you go tamper with them in the forest?
I really liked the dad in this one. Actually, I really liked both the parents in this one. I don't know why, but in the original one, there was always something off about the mom.
The mom was boring, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, and that's the thing, like, I don't know. It always comes off where I'm always asking the mom why she got together with this guy and why they ended up having kids, because she never once in the original film, I feel like, I thought that she loved her kids. It always felt like she thought her kids were like a burden.
Yeah, no,
At least that's how it came off.
Yeah, whenever she smiled in the original movie, it was like, one wrong slip of the finger and these little shits are right off to the adoption agency.
Right, so, like, I always had that kind of vibe with it, but with the remake, it was different.
She was hands-on with her children.
100%, and, like, anything that would feel uncomfortable that she didn't think would be a comforting, like the topic of death around her 9-year-old daughter, she wanted to shelter her from that. I really liked the little girl. In the beginning, you know, she's nice, she's sweet, and then later on it kind of flips the script and she becomes more of a dark, intimidating character, and believe me, that definitely happens. And then when she does become this really dark kind of character, and I don't know, I really have to give credit to this little girl that played the role. Like, I really hope this film really jumpstarts her career.
Yeah,
and she ends up doing, like, a lot, like, more bigger things.
Yeah, the best way I can describe her, you know how a lot of child actors will have pauses and stuttering in their lines where it's obvious that they're not very good at reading, but they're clearly reading from a cue card?
Right.
Yeah, that's not the case here.
And I mean, it was kind of interesting, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it was the fact that they, instead of killing off the little boy Gage, they ended up killing off the older little girl. And I'll tell you why it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So, like, You mentioned the fact that it was kind of like an interesting bait and switch.
Yeah, it was kind of like a crisscross.
Right, and they kind of like set it up with all the foreshadowing that it was going to be the little boy, and it played with your expectations because anyone that's ever read the book or seen the original movie knows that that's how that plays out.
And they toy with these expectations to the very last second.
We're literally to the very last second, because what happens is, Gage is out in the middle of the road, but so is the little girl because, Church the cat got ran over, they buried the cat came back.
The very next day.
Fucking piece of shit asshole. So they try to ditch the cat again, but the cat finds its way home during the birthday party, so she goes out to see it, but no one notices this. All they're paying attention to is the little boy, which in that respect I kind of thought was a nice little kink in the plot that wasn't there before. But in the last second before the truck actually hits the boy, Dad tackles him out of the way, and truck driver notices in the very last second that he's about to hit this girl, swerves the truck, trailer comes unhitched, and that's what ends up hitting her and killing her. And the only reason, and he thought it was very interesting just with the bait and switch, playing with your expectations, and I would agree with that, but just part of me in the back of my mind feels like that's not why they did it.
Yeah, and I understand completely why you would think that it's like, ooh, society doesn't want a little child to die because, yeah, there's no reason.
I just feel like, again, I know there's no reason for it, and it seems senseless, but I don't know. I know I watch a lot of fiction films, and right now the biggest films in my life are the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it takes place in situations that could never, ever take place. But I'm also in to watch films to try and get some greedy, realistic shit. And the realistic fact of the matter is, shit like that happens.
Yeah.
Whether or not we choose to ignore it, it doesn't change the fact that shit like that happens. Why turn away from it just to make the audience feel a little bit more comfortable? I like watching horror movies that make me feel uncomfortable.
Well, they still have plenty of lines of dialogue to make the audience feel uncomfortable. One of my personal favorites is when the mother is arguing with her husband after bringing the daughter back.
Oh, yeah.
And then he looks her dead in the eye and says, if God wants a kid, let him take his own fucking kid.
Oh, yeah. I enjoy
that line. Dark, horrifying to hear, especially if you're a parent.
Right.
But it works for the tone that the movie's trying to give.
There's a little bit of truth to that. I'm sure any parent, given the opportunity to bring their kid back, no matter what the
disastrous outcome will be. Although, oh my god, the fact that the remake dived into the consequences for not just the people that bring something back, but the spirit of what is brought back as well.
Yep.
Apparently, if you're brought back via the pet cemetery, your soul is also damned to hell.
Right.
Which is just, it's crazy to think that something that, like that...
And it was something that they have no choice over.
Yeah, and the girl was a good kid, so if you believe in the afterlife, more likely than not, she's up in heaven.
Right.
And then just...
the second her dad buries her into the pet cemetery.
She's just dragged into hell?
And yeah, no, that's a kind of a really fucked up way to look at it, and that's not something that's touched at least in the original film, I don't think.
Yeah, like honestly,
I don't believe it's in the book, but I could be wrong.
That thought though made my skin crawl and grow cold because just that whole entire idea. And then I thought, what if it was Gage then?
Right.
You'd be sending your 3-year-old son straight to hell just because, ooh, I want to hug my son one more time. Yes, I understand that, but at the same time, don't you think it's slightly selfish?
He didn't know that. I feel like the only way that we really knew that was by the dialogue that came from the girl.
Yeah, which, at the same time, maybe she was just screwing with him.
And that's another thing you have to think about, because there was a major personality shift when she came back.
Yeah, and one thing that I liked that they did in this movie that they did not do in the original.
What's that?
The face is shifting to other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Like, Jed ends up trying to fight off the girl at one point, and then it transforms into his deceased wife.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah, it was taunting her, and it was sort of a mixture with, like, another actress's voice mixed with the little girl saying it at the same time, and they spliced the dialogue together and made this really creepy, like, high-pitched kind of voice, but also a low, elderly growl.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, please, I love this dialogue, I want to hear more, but please stop talking, for the love of God, make it stop!
Stop being creepy and shit. So, going ahead and go into talking about the scene where Jed is being fucked with by the little girl.
One of my favorite
because that ties in with what I wanted to talk about next was the, in like references that tied in with the previous, like the original film, but also just Easter eggs with Stephen King works in general. Because obviously, the first one obviously comes from that scene where he knows the little girl's in his house, so he's searching around looking for her, and he goes into his bedroom. And you know how in the original, she's hiding under the bed, and she cuts his Achilles tendon from there. Well,
still graphic.
And this one, well, you were the one that actually kind of brought it to my attention. Why don't you go ahead and do the honors?
All right. Well, this is actually one of my favorite scenes from the original, in fact. Within the original, as stated, Jed is going around the house and he's being extra cautious. He thinks that there's someone in his house. He's not sure in the original.
Right.
So he's backing up and he goes back to the bed and he's like, okay, no one's here. I must be safe. Or at least that's what he thinks. And then, ha-ha, you're wrong. Little boy, no older than 4 years old, comes out and stabs you in the Achilles tendon and you go buckling to the ground, where he then viciously stabs you and eats your face.
Now,
in the remake, what happens is Jed hears the thump, freaks the holy hell out.
and this one, he knows there's someone.
He knows there's someone there because he's walking around. He's just like, I know you're in my damn house, and I'm just like, oh well, that's different.
And Jed's like, I'm here to fuck shit up. I'm
He
a
is here-
cantankerous old man.
Yeah. Oh my. He's
gonna bust a cap in your ass.
He felt like a gristled war hero in that scene.
Yeah, right.
Just like, I'm gonna race to hell and save the neighbors.
He's like, I got a fucking gun, bro.
Yeah. Although I kind of wish he would have used the shotgun that was up above his front door.
Oh yeah, that probably would have been a lot more useful.
What happens is he hears something behind him, and then he sees nothing, so he turns around and he sees the bed, and then he just gets super pissed off and kicks the bed. And you know he's pissed off because old man's got some teeth apparently, because he just kicks and he's like, "Rah!"
Yeah, he's all growling.
Yeah, he's all gristled, growling, and he kicks the bed, and it goes flying across the room, hits the wall, and you hear ka-chunk. And it's like, okay, so there's no one there. And I'm like, huh. So I guess Jed's gonna live longer than in the original.
Well, he didn't live that much longer.
No, because then he goes down the stairs because he doesn't see anything or hear anything, and then Church jumps out and scares him, the cat. And I'm like, okay, so they went with the cat. That's a little weird. How's this cat gonna kill him?
Over there licking its lips.
Yeah, which is funny, but in that last second when he's relieved and he's like, it's just Church. I mean, yeah, Church was brought back too, but Church ain't gonna kill me, he's a cat.
Right.
And then slash!
Right into his Achilles tendon.
Right into his Achilles tendon, but they went all the way with this one.
Yeah, they did. Oh yeah, that one was savage, bro.
Yeah, that when this guy jumps and goes, ooh, you know it's bad.
Oh yeah, that one definitely got me.
Yeah, like, my feet straight up went up for a second, like, oh.
He turtled.
Yeah, I know everything turtled.
Anyway.
Yeah, like me, I was a ball at that second. That's where everything was like, movie's almost over. It's a good movie. We got
nightmares and shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's safe to say I'm probably not going to get much sleep tonight.
Right. The only other Easter egg that really caught my eye is when the mom is driving back to the house because she's worried about the husband because he's not returning her calls. They pass a sign for Derry.
10 miles to Derry, Maine.
Which is the setting for it. And that kind of, I don't know, because the more and more we talk about a Stephen King shared universe,
the more and more I think it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that this is a thing, and they're just not telling people because they don't want to count their chickens. You know, they don't want to pull a DC or a Universal Monsters kind of deal, and they're just low-key, just slowly
Rest in
building it
peace,
up.
Universal Monsters.
Right. So I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I think that might be a thing. Don't quote me on that because it might not be a thing, but it might be a thing. Last thing I wanted to talk about, because it was actually really interesting the way it all played out, but the ending is so much more different than the original ending, and not only that, it's so really fucked up.
Dark.
It's a really fucked up ending. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when the credits started rolling, I kind of just sat there looking like, huh.
And then the credits wanted to tell you it's a happy time with an original song.
Right, but there was no happiness to be seen in that film, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind my films ending.
It's why I like The Watchmen so much.
Right, so basically, in the struggle of trying to fight off the little girl, they hide the little boy Gage in the car. The daughter brutally murders her mom, and then knocks out the dad, and takes the mom over to the pet cemetery, buries her in the sacred area, and she comes back. Fucking the dad
has a hell of a struggle.
Has a hell of a struggle, but he ends up getting murdered by the mom.
In one of the coolest ways I've seen in a movie in a while.
And then, after a callback to a scene from the very beginning of the film, which is everything coming full circle, which I thought that was a really cool tie.
Yeah, that was really cool. I wasn't quite sure where it was going at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Like, I'm like, okay, so is this like all going to be told by like police
stuff.
Report recap or something? Just like, well, we got to talk about how this happened. But no, it just shows you, and it's just like, see this house? It's gone to shit. How did it go to shit? Well, sit down.
Yeah, we'll tell you the story. And then it ends with Gage sitting in the car and undead parents and undead church just looking at him and like, you know what they're about to do.
They torch Jed's house.
Mm-hmm.
Their house is full of blood. There's obviously evidence of something that's gone down for people in the future.
They'll probably torch that house too.
Yeah, they'll probably torch it too. They're walking towards the car with a jerry can.
Yep.
Daddy told Gage earlier
not to open the door.
Not to open the door, even if it's Ellie.
Right.
Which means don't open the door for anybody except for Dad.
Right, and Dad's there now.
Dad probably should have said, don't open the door for anyone, even if it's me.
Right.
But even then, that's not going to matter because he's going to torch the car.
Right. Well, yeah, but granted, I don't think they're going to torch the car. I think whatever they're going to do to Gage, they're going to do outside of the car. They're not going to charge, because obviously they're planning on burying him and bringing him back.
Yeah, most likely, but at the same time, burning the body, I mean, you can still bury a charred body.
Oh, yeah, but it's not going to look the same when it comes out.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
I mean, they're trying to go for, obviously, at the end, they're trying to go for an undead family, and obviously they want to try to go for the most ideal-looking undead family.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the new ending better than the old ending or not.
It was definitely different. I didn't mind it. It wasn't my favorite, but I don't know. I tend to gravitate towards those horror movies that kind of don't have a good ending.
Yeah,
That's how it was for me with Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning.
Yeah, I think I prefer the original ending only because of this. It still is a very bitter ending.
Yeah.
The man loses everything, but then he's forced to deal with the guilt of the mistake that he made.
Right.
Because he tried to bring back his son, which was a huge mistake. His daughter's gone. His wife is gone. His neighbor and only friend at that time that he could confide in is gone. Even his loving pet is gone.
Right.
And he's forced to just sit there and stew in the guilt and remorse and regret and no way to fix it. The only thing he could do is end their pain and suffering, but that would mean that he has to spill their blood and it's on his hands. So either way, this man loses.
Right.
But all in all, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no. All in all, it was definitely an interesting take. It was a different take. It wasn't like copy-paste. So I can't say it's a bad remake. Honestly, I feel like they did the best they could, and the acting in it was very spot on.
Oh my goodness, that's one thing that I think this one had an up on the original.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I would recommend people to go check it out if you're into that kind of stuff, you're into horror movies, and you're into the darker kind of storylines, and you like to be, feel uncomfortable. Definitely check this one out, the Pet Sematary remake. And that's all we have for this episode of Straight Razor in the Theater. Like we said in the previous video, we got coming up a new top 10 list for this channel, and
possible top 10 list coming up for the gaming channel.
Right on. Another video that I have that I want to make coming up for right around when Endgame comes out, because obviously we're going to do a video and in the theater for Endgame. But also on top of that, I want to, because we're going to watch Infinity War here soon. And when we do that, I want to do a video, basically Infinity War 1 year later, where we're going to take a look at the film and see what our thoughts are of the film now as opposed to how it was when we first saw it. And I think that'll be pretty interesting.
I think it's safe to say Razor Country's back.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Like I said, it'll probably be a little bit more of a slower start just because of the current situation we're in, where we're only using one laptop and the laptop doesn't stay here. But we're going to be working around I'm going to be up all night editing stuff, so we're going to make sure there's content. But until then, Avengers assemble.
May the force be with you.
It's
And
time
time to kick ass and chew bubble gum.
Take it easy, guys.